But I am curious about all of us. Like, why did that show come to an end?
So I didn't really hear much about it. I remember I used to live right off of what is it? It's the Universal lot in Studio City. There's a like a park right in front of the Universal lot. I used to live in one of the homes down there, and I used to drive back and forth every day because our fourth season was shot on the Universal lot. So I kind of had that constant physical reminder of the pressure of like the fifth season and like when it was coming amidst the writer strike, where we were like, hey, so is this show going to get renewed? And it's like everybody seems happy, but apparently there's like negotiations going on for contract stuff. And then there's also the pressure of the writer's strike. And it's like whether or not we're going to be affected by this. So I think it was probably a perfect storm of those two circumstances coinciding, where people are negotiating and trying to make sure that they're being represented financially the way that they should relative to their efforts and energy.
This is the 2008 strike, that one?
I believe so. Or 2007.
Yeah, and girlfriends got caught up in that too. They a lot of UPN show. What network were you guys on one again?
At that time, I think that was just after the UPN CW merger, which is funny because a lot of the Twitter conversation about that talks about how like the black sitcom really did get collapsed by the CW, because it's like we had all of these shows on one network got bought up, and then we had all of these runs of new shows that were not black sitcom oriented. But again, I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just a coincidence, an unfortunate one. But yeah, I think that writer strike really put a lot of pressure on folks.
Yeah, did it how did your life get impacted? Because, the little bit that I do know, TV money, consistent TV money on the show is very good. And then even talking about as being a child actor, like did your mom and if your dad was around at that moment, did things get kind of like did they prepare you in case, or were you guys prepared as a family in case this money slowed up here? We had a game plan. Did it impact you in any way in terms of financially?
No, when we moved out here, my mom had remarried later. I think my mom remarried in 2006. And then my parents worked as well. So as a result of that, we weren't affected. It wasn't like my checks were out here to run the family or to do any of that. Like my mom operated as a manager, so that was really helpful in terms of the planning of things and like circumstances such as this. Um, but no, like my checks were not holding up like the light. Like if we ain't booked this audition, like we not eating this month. Like we didn't have one of those kinds of situations, luckily.
And then as far as the show will come to an end, and then what happens in your career at that moment when the show's over with? Are you thinking about, okay, I want to get another show, I want to take a break? Like, what are the thoughts going in your mind when you got the news? And did you remember the day you found out that you guys were coming back?
Yeah, I think it was we were driving through Burbank in front of a different lot. I think this was like one of the Nickelodeon animation studio lots at the time, and I was just like really heartbroken because that's family. It's like we're not seeing each other. The amount of energy and effort that you have to put into getting everyone together to see each other again is a lot harder than it is to just like keep everybody together so that you don't have to watch them all splinter and like fall off like that. And I think that's really the hardest part of that time that I found out was that thought that, dang, we are probably not going to get all of these people back together again. And that's not from the place of saying, dang, I don't get the opportunity to like pull up to Dwayne's house or the opportunity to go chill with Tony at like a comedy show. I think for me, it was more the acknowledgement that like, there are people whose names y'all don't know that are some of the reasons why I was super duper excited to go to work every day. Like my AD Consuelo or Merv. Like there was a time where I'm like walking down the steps, like in all of us in the main set that we have, there's like an upstairs area and we like run down the steps. In the back version of the staircase, there was like no railing for like the first week of the staircase for some reason. So it's like you have the version that you can see behind the set. There's the version that you can't see, and that's where we're like running stuff, right? I remember running up and down the steps, and the AD's like, yo, we don't have a railing on this yet. Like, you got to be careful. And I remember turning around to like say something smart, and I slipped. And bro dove out and made this Herculean effort to catch me. And I'm just like, dang, Merv be on my case all the time on set. That man really cares. I remember treating Merv with such a different respect after that because I was like, you know, care and effort is distributed in a number of ways, and it comes in many different aesthetic forms. That one there meant a lot, though. So I think it's the way in which you form those relationships, and it just sucks to be like, dang, I was not about to see them again. There was a cameraman named Kenny who I think was one of our first camera operator, or I think he was the ACAM operator. I remember seeing him on a different set years later, and it kind of just brought that constellation back to me. That was like, dude, like you let me be on the little camera operation, a little ring setup where I get the opportunity to do the wide shots and the tight shots, and we're recording, like we're doing a live taping. And he's like, I know you have a desire to do this. Like, come over here. Like, I'll work this with you. So you really do get the opportunity to create relationships and bonds that are meaningful. And for the opportunity for us to not get to stick together after that, I think it's kind of hard, especially as a kid.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this teaser. You can watch the full interview right now at hypersclub.com, along with more behind the scenes and additional content.